Oh, hi. Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Looks like we're going to be pretty informal today. My name is Brad. I'm representing Gentech. We have a product called Nexus, which is billed as a command and control system for a broker-dealer. What that basically means to me is that it is a giant toolbox for running your back office. We do integrations, we make tools that make tools. We take everything that you've seen this week and sort of bring it all together into one big package to minimize the number of different places that your affiliates have to go to, whether that be the folks in the back office, your compliance officers, or your reps specifically, or their assistants. So we've been around a bit. We started off of another broker-dealer called Genios Wealth Management. We were their IT staff until we built a product that solved so many of their problems, we felt that everybody else should be buying it too. We were originally founded in 2008, 2013 now, so we've been at this for about 5 years. We've gone through a couple of different iterations of it. It started off as a product called Mercury, moved on to Nexus 2.0, Nexus GT. So we have been doing this for a while. At the time that we're talking right now, roughly speaking, the system supports about 1,000 different reps. That's across several different BDs. Our commissioning system in the background handles about $300 million worth of payouts. It's flexible enough and it's fast enough to be shipping those out up to a weekly basis as you see fit. We think that's a really good selling point when you're trying to bring reps into your office. You don't have to wait around. It doesn't have to be a complicated process. Here you go. We like to sell ourselves to broker-dealers in that you don't necessarily need a heavy IT staff yourself. What you want is solutions to your problems, right? What we do is bring in various data sets from around the industry into Nexus, have them integrated there, and then push the results out without too much painful standing around, without pulling from one platform to bring it into another. That starts off with onboarding, bringing in your accounts to us, whether that be through direct keying in by your reps, or if it's an integration, if you're bringing it from a provider that has a database, we can pull from that database. We are the sausage makers. We are a company that's actually about 50% made out of application developers. By that I mean that they will code the solution to, if you're working with Pershing, if you're working with National, to provide you the central point of access to all of your business needs. This is an example of the system that we have, completely web-based, to provide your reps immediate access without having to have an installed application. It's a very simple, based off of the FINRA's example of a new account application. Goes across the suitability information that you want to bring in to the NAA to move it on through the system. Here's an example in the owner tab. Quick information on vitals of the person that you're onboarding. This is our integration between Nexus and Laserfish. Laserfish is one of our favorite partners in that we'll use them as much of the process as possible. They are excellent in that they give us a TIFF-based rather than a sort of analogous PDF, JPEG-based copy of the physical document itself, if you were at that position. If you wanted to write these from scratch, we've got both Laserfish and Laser API integrations to create these forms and fill them with as little possibility for error as possible. We've also got a fabulous set of rule sets that review automatically any sort of suitability or error correction, FINRA compliance, compatibility that we can do bringing on these accounts. We try to write the software to make as much of the process of approving these accounts as quick as possible. We feel that the job of the back office is to get things from point A to point B. We don't necessarily believe that some human being is what's supposed to check every last detail of an account. If we want to check something for reverse churning, for example, we'd rather code do it than an individual do it. What we want to hand to a supervisor is, this is something that should be reviewed, this is why, rather than this is a piece of paper that just came into your office and it's about as random as possible. We also have a commission system in the background that is completely transparent, or at least as transparent as you want it to be. You can have a very complex cent by cent commission statement passed on to your reps, or you can just give them a very clean number, like I said, once a week. So you start from onboarding, you move on to the compensation section of it, and then you move on to compliance after that. Automatic real checks to ensure that anything that needs supervisory review is simply passed on to the supervisor. Again, it's a question of integration. What I'd like to say is that the tools are doing as much work as is conceivably possible by code. And it's not something that policymakers really should be doing for you. Now, policy doesn't change that often. We believe that we're actually more in competition with FINRA than we are with other software vendors. We feel that what we have to give, the value add for our company, is more a matter of making the industry faster and smoother, while regulations are trying to make it slower and more complicated. We have, this is our smart blotter. Trades come through. There are reasons to check them. They're processed directly to the supervisors who can clear up the rough bumps. In addition to that, we've got a nice tool for your check blotters. This view is sort of the basic view. This is the spreadsheet that you would normally have in the back office. But we have a Laserfiche integration as well as Remit Pro integration. Your office, your OSJ receives a check. They pass it into the system, automatically creates an entry in the check blotter, sends that off to the home office to ensure that they've got coverage for that month. But at the same time, if you're a rep, you can log into the system, take a view of exactly that check, move it on. Really no steps in between. The point is not really, what Nexus can do. The point is that we are integrators, and what we want to do for a broker-dealer is make their lives as easy as possible. Push as much of the compliance requirements down, make as many of the reports active, live, and at the touch of a button. So what this really comes down to is a quick review of exactly what we do with LaserApp, and more importantly, how this has worked out in sort of an active migration from the previous system to what we have now. So what we had before is a system of filling forms automatically as best we could. We used LaserApp Web to provide us with a full set of forms from the library, which was great, but there was no real tool for bringing it together in the way that we see now with LaserApp Anywhere. What that came down to was we built a server. We filled this server with all of the information that we needed. The dashboard looks exactly as it does now. These are all handcrafted. And what that server did was collect the LaserApp web data, collected a bunch of placement information for sticking those fields exactly where they should be, then collecting the data off of the Nexus system, stuffing it together, creating an FDF form by Adobe, and turning that into a rough approximation of what your form should be, simply to autofill it. I cannot speak to the number of painful gotchas and bugs that caused. It was a little bit unbelievable. We had, on average, several dozen calls per week to support to try and cover this. And like I said about the rest of the platform, we're not really interested in road bumps. We don't want the back office to do a lot of work per day. We want to minimize their work to policy and philosophy and how to keep business moving, much less the reps. So what we have now is a list of forms directly from Laser App. You throw a couple of them into an entry field. There we go. And we just hit generate. We go straight into Laser App Anywhere, much the same way that you saw Laserfish's presentation go directly from Redtail right into Laser App Anywhere, and you get your stack of forms. Nice little pull-down bar to go through the three that I selected. Here's one from American Funds. You can see the highlights on any pages that happen to have data in them, and you see the contents are already filled in. So rekeying simply stops existing. You have this information. You shouldn't be entering it in 3 different times for 3 different providers. I hit the print button, or I print the entire stack and it goes to my printer. The implication is, here I am, let's say I'm not in the back office, I'm a rep. I've got a client that's coming in at 3 o'clock. I just hit the button. You saw me do it basically from beginning and end, and that's what straight-through processing is supposed to be like. There's a correction in this guy's email address, and now it's done. Sorry, my typing's awful. There is a slight change. The guy's coming in tomorrow. I changed the date. It's done. The gentleman whose account I'm talking about, he's got a divorce pending. He needs a disbursement from his IRA. 4 clicks, and while he's driving from his house to my office, it's taken care of. Laser App is what makes this possible. The old system of creating PDFs on the fly was brutal. We were basically making everything piece by piece. We had huge expenditures on the back end, making a server for every one of these integrations. And if anyone ever changed the forms, the position data stayed the same. So formatting would just destroy everything that we had done. If you wanted to turn a form around from one step to another, and granted, this is a form from American Funds, but our broker-dealers also have their own forms. They're all in Laser App as well. If they wanted to make a change, it would take 3 weeks to a month to actually get it processed through and out the other end. Now it's live. If I change one of these forms, the next day it's done. In addition to that, I mean, if I wanted to bring up Laser App as an integration by comparison, we did this in 48 hours. Laser App got a hold of us, let us know that Laser App Anywhere was a product that was ready. We stuck it in there. We were actually rather cautious about doing this in 2 days. And it came out the other end. We sent it off to the customers and they started using it. And that was before the end of the week. So it's important to know that from the far end of this, when you talk to your IT guys and say, this is something that we want to do, it couldn't be easier. By comparison to creating the PDFs basically from scratch from the old system, we dropped the workload for those particular types of calls by about 95%. Most of what we had left was people complaining that things had changed. And if you're a broker-dealer, you know that every time you change something, all of your reps complain. In addition to that, the overall workload that we had for our IT staff to try and respond to these strange, esoteric Adobe issues by comparison to what LaserApp gives you, we dropped our total call load by something like 40%. So it matters. It matters that LaserApp is a solution that doesn't require additional accommodation for your IT group. You don't need them involved. I don't know if anybody hit up Jorge's presentation yesterday about administration of these forms. Setting up LaserApp anywhere on the back end is pretty much flawless. You don't need an IT wonk to go do it for you. You give it to one of your administrators who understands the forms, and it comes out the other end. And that's, oops, I can't print from here. That's the point of using integrations like this rather than depending on old legacy systems that use Oracle databases, COBOL, crazy 1990s technology. We want to get away from faxes. We want to get away from putting ink signatures onto paperwork. We'd love to take a LaserApp form, hand it to a client on an iPad, tablet of your design, give it to your client, have them stick their fingerprint on it, give it the e-signature, have them physically use a pen to stick a signature out there, and the rest of the system simply flows from there. With LaserApp, you can do that. A year ago, I would say that you would have a challenge on your hands. Much like Nexus, LaserApp believes in doing this in a very modern, a very open process. What I can tell you about this right here in front of you on the back end is we go to this view where we have created a few HTML items based on PHP that request a form from LaserApp. LaserApp sends a response back saying, okay, give me the XML. I have these entries in my form. Do you have anything that matches them? And the system just says, yes, here you go. XML file goes from point A to point B. Form filled out comes out on the other end. This is how the entire industry really should be. The back office should be ensuring that the paperwork gets from A to Z. The reps should be talking to their clients. They should be spending as little time as possible on steps like this. And money should be transacted about as quickly as we're processing checks right now. If it arrives at the office within 48 hours, it goes off to ACH. And that's what we hope to produce in the future. And I would say that LaserApp is our biggest partner, our closest to what we want to see the industry be based on that. Second place, I think I would say, was Laserfish. The way that we can throw integrations into the system based on what they do. I'm not sure if I have any images in the demo site right now. But the fact that I can simply go into the system, pull up a document that's been associated to this client, show you the image instantly, that's what people want to see, and they want to see it in as many ways as possible. This is a web-based app. We are somewhat conservative about moving to mobile platforms such as Android and iPads, but it's definitely something that we feel that the end users want to get to. And really, when you're talking about LaserApp and when you're talking about Nexus, it's more about the end users than it is about the back office. Can you guys switch the feed for me again? There you go. So that's me. The reason I'm not very good at this is that I'm one of the foot soldiers of the company. I am not the half of the company that is a bunch of developers. But I'd really like to speak to the technical capability of LaserApp and what it does. Have you guys got any questions for me? Do you want to know about how the sausage is made? No? We're good? Pretty much? Yeah? Okay. Apologize for my jilting performance. I managed to get my notes stolen just before the presentation. And that's what we got for you. So thank you very much.